Hey everybody, we are here with the Predator 5000. This was a purchase just this evening, and one of the things I do appreciate about Harbor Freight is their extended service plan that they offer. So I purchased a Predator 3500 about 3 years ago and bought the 2-year service plan. At the time, that generator was like on sale for $679. The service plan was about 160 bucks. Now that service plan was actually expired, and that generator, it ran great, but it had basically 66 volts on each of the two legs rather than 120 volts on the hot and the neutral being neutral. So our RV didn't like that generator because of it being a 240 volt RV. So we got all of the money back from when I purchased that Predator 3500, not for the service plan, but for the original purchase. And right now there was 20% off on all generators at Harbor Freight. So this one retails for $1,099. We got 20% off. Bought the new service plan. The new service plan was $299. So it's a lot more expensive, but basically you can bring it back 2 years, no fault, and they just give you your money back towards another generator. So we're gonna open this thing up. We're gonna take a look at it and see what is in the box. Take a look here. We have the user's manual. In there, it looks like there's some gaskets, jets, and parts for the carburetor. That probably, oh, that's actually for different elevations. 3,000 to 6,000 feet, 6,000 to 7,000 feet. So if you're running gasoline, or maybe even propane, I'll take a look at that. But there's different jets for different elevations. We are about 1,200 feet above sea level, so we probably don't need to do anything with that. We've got a funnel for oil fill. We've got what looks to be the propane hose here. So this is going to be a 2-stage regulator that goes on the propane tank, and then the gas nozzle that hooks up to the generator, and a clip, which I'm imagining that clip is for probably holding the hose when you're storing it. So we'll check that out in a little while. We've got a power charging cable for 12 volt. And then it looks like a couple of tools here. And my favorite, the remote start key fob. So this allows you to start it remotely. So it weighs a little bit, but one person can pick it up. So let's open up the side here, see what's here. I think we just unscrew these. And I'm not sure, but I'm guessing this might be where you hook up the battery and fill with oil. There we go. So you can see it's got a couple pins holding it in. And yeah, this is actually the air filter side here. So if we take a look, yeah, air filter, there's the engine, spark plug, carburetors right here. So we actually need to open the other side to get to the oil fill. Let's take a look. Let's get some oil in here. You can see it's got gaskets all the way around and foam. So here's the battery. You've got oil fill and oil drain. And then it looks like there's a little cup or something here for when you're draining the oil. That's an improvement over the old one where you pull this guy out and the oil comes out right here. Makes it real nice. So right here we've got the power connection. So this is what we're gonna do to connect the battery. I'm actually going to wait with that until we get some motor oil in there, just in case. So we're going to open this up. There's the oil fill. You can see there's basically nothing in there. And I want to make a recommendation. This is being a brand new engine, sort of first start. When it comes to motor oil, I don't like to use a synthetic motor oil when a motor is brand new. I like to use either a standard oil or maybe a synthetic blend. What that does is it allows the metal parts to seat in and kind of wear a little bit better. Once we've got maybe about 10 hours on the engine, then we're going to go ahead and switch to a synthetic oil. But we're going to start with standard oil. And one of the things I do also like to use heavy duty diesel motor oil. The reason I choose that, this is a 10W30, is it has higher levels of additives, you know, zinc oxide, some of the things like that, that reduce the wear on the engine as compared to a standard car motor oil. So that's just a personal preference. So I checked the owner's manual and it says we need 0.64 quarts of oil, and what it's requesting is 10W30 oil. So we're gonna go ahead and use that. I just want to point out the runtime was pretty impressive. At 25% load on a gas tank, 18 hours. And that's on 3.7 gallons of gas. On a 20-pound propane tank, it'll go about 14 and a half hours. So if you want to run this on gas or propane, 3.7 gallons of gas at $3 a gallon, current price. A 20-pound propane tank I just filled today cost me $17 plus tax. So it's actually cheaper to run on gasoline. It runs longer and it's less per gallon, but on propane, it certainly runs clean and you can do that. So either way you can select. But let's get some oil in here. And I've got a 4-quart jug. On the side of the jug, you can see it's got delineation that shows, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts. So I'm going to do about a little over half a quart. All right, it's filled with oil. We're going to go ahead and close this. We already checked the oil level, so that's good. Get that snug, make sure that's snug. Let's get the battery hooked up. So that's hooked up. At this point, there's no fuel in the unit. But I'm going to go ahead and, just for the sake of giving it a try, see if the electric start will crank over. So on this control panel, we've got USB, both USB-C and typical for charging devices. We've got the 12 volt. That's what this plug is for. That'll plug in there. That's for charging a 12 volt battery. These connections here. You can get what's called a parallel kit. So you can hook 2 generators together and get double the power output. Right here you've got the propane and then off and then gasoline. So that's the switch for the carburetor. And then here's where you hook the propane nozzle up. These ESC throttle, off and on. What this does is if it's off, the engine will run at high speed the whole time, even when it's not needing it. If you turn this on, it'll idle down the engine when there's a light load. We've got plugs, both standard 20 amp plugs. And here you go. This is the 30 amp plug. That's a perfect fit for an RV style plug. Excited about that. Ground connection. And let's see here, overload reset. A circuit breaker, a couple more circuit breakers. And then this also has a carbon monoxide alarm. That's what this light is for. If you're running it, let's say in a garage or something, and there's too much carbon monoxide, that'll go off, and I think it might even shut the unit off. So we're gonna go ahead and push this twice. It's cranking over. So that's how you go to start it. So again, no fuel in it yet, but I just wanted to crank it over. And so far so good. So we're gonna get some fuel hooked up and get it started. All right, so to hook the propane up, I've already screwed the regulator onto the tank, and this has a sleeve on it. It's pretty simple. You just push it on, it clicks in. To remove it, you pull the sleeve back and it comes right off. So pretty straightforward. That's it, it's on. It's on propane. We'll go ahead and turn the gas on. Gas is on. We've got the power switch turned on. And to start, we're gonna push the button twice. gas through the lines. It might take a minute. There we go. And it's running. So to give it something to try out the power on here, melting snow, and with the eco throttle on, if I turn this on, you can hear that it kicks up a little bit and it kicks back down. So works great. Turn it off, hit the button, and now I think once it's already started, starting it again will probably be pretty quick. Yep, there you go. We'll let it run for a little while to let it break in now. Alright, so I've got my oscilloscope hooked up here. I'm measuring the voltage across the 120 volt output. If you come take a look, it's a really nice sine wave, 124 volts. And if I turn the heater on, you can see it doesn't even flinch. But here's my issue. If you take a look here, I'm going across the two hots of the 120 volt plug. If instead I go to the neutral or the ground of the plugs, I'll move this here. Take a look at the scope now. And we've got like about 60 volts, and it's a terrible looking sine wave. So if I go from neutral to a hot, I've got about 60 volts instead of 120. Not in love with that. Alright, so to wrap up this evening's video, just purchased the Predator. It's a great generator. It's a quiet generator. Runs on propane, runs on gas. So a lot of things to love about it. But one of the issues that I've had with my earlier Predator, and also this one, if you see I've got another generator here, we actually have an off-grid property that runs on battery, solar, and an inverter. And the inverter on our off-grid property is an outback inverter that if we hook a generator up to charge batteries, it will mimic the generator's power output to the rest of the house. If you use a regular generator, they don't have a very clean sine wave, which makes lights flicker and things like that. So I really like the inverter generator because of the clean sine wave. Now, the problem with the Predator is, and there may be a solution to this that we'll look into, is you've got hot, neutral, and ground on the plug. The neutral should have 0 volts, and the hot should have 120 volts AC. The way that these guys are running, they put 60 volts and 60 volts on each of both the hot and the neutral. On this Wen generator, this was a product that I purchased from Menards for, I think it was about $400. That's not a quiet generator, but it is an inverter generator. And this one, when you run this, it's got the 120 and then 0, and then the ground. So this has been a generator that we've used. It's worked well. Things I don't like about this one, the gas tank's too small, so it doesn't run long enough. And it just isn't very quiet, being that it's an open frame generator. But I like the power output and the fuel efficiency. On the Predator, if I plug that into my motorhome or the inverter, what's going to happen is it's going to see each leg only having 60 volts. And it just doesn't like that. The air conditioner doesn't like to start, but that's because I've got a 50 amp plug-in, which is a 240 volt on our motorhome. So in its current state, that's not going to work for the motorhome unless we can figure out a way to get 120 and then a true neutral. So we're going to work on figuring that out, but for now, I'm going to say that's definitely a thumbs down on the power output until we can see if the neutral and the ground will bond together. Maybe that's a solution, so we're going to look into that, see if we can find out what to do there. If you've got any ideas, put it in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll keep doing some more reviews like this. Thanks, everyone. Take care.